This is the most disturbing episode of Supersize vs Superskinny ever.
Do you ever have a vegetable?
No! I think because she's hungry and she's getting really crazy psycho.
Starting to get tired of her moaning.
Come 55, I'll have a heart attack. That's as bad as it gets.
Hello, you gorgeous donuts. Supersize vs Superskinny was one of the most intense TV shows to come out the UK in recent times. This show was hosted by Dr. Christian Jensen. It involved two individuals with extreme eating habits, swapping diets for an entire week inside of this place that looks so white, and it was called the Feeding Clinic. So you can imagine the drama that happens in this show. Obviously, the supersize person is going to be hungry, and the super skinny person isn't going to be able to consume this amount of food just like that. And to ignite more drama, they often made both of them eat the portions in front of one another just to, create some extra spice. And this led to a lot of the contestants just being so vicious to each other because they were so annoyed that they couldn't eat their own food. In this show, they were also put through various disturbing techniques to make them realise how unhealthy they actually are. And if Dr. Christian wasn't happy with the amount of effort that these contestants were putting into the show, he would often set up weird punishments for them. And in the episode we're breaking down today, we're going to have a look at one of the most severe versions of this punishment, where somebody actually gets sent to the fattest town in America to teach them a lesson. And at the end of this show, they judge the contestants if they've succeeded or not succeeded during this experiment by sending them home for 3 months with a specific diet, and then they welcome them back. And if they've lost or gained weight, that's counted as a success or a failure. Honestly, the concept of this show was absolutely wild. In this specific episode that we're going to be breaking down today, this has been voted the worst ever episode of Supersize vs Superskinny, as both of the contestants had the toughest time adapting to each other's diets. And there's one moment later on in this video that genuinely will have you shocked, so stay tuned for that. Let's get into it. So the episode kicks off with us meeting the two contestants who will be taking part in this experiment in this episode. It is Charlene and Dawn.
I don't taste food. I actually just swallow it down.
All right, Bevo, calm down. I actually just take roast potatoes whole. What's the point in eating them? It's all going down the same tube at the end of the day. It all looks the same when it comes out, no matter how it goes in.
I don't remember a time when I finished a plate of food.
It is kind of wild how they call them Supersize and Superskinny. Now, I know that these people have signed up to do this show, but surely that doesn't make them feel any better about themselves. I guess that was the aim of the show, to kind of motivate these people to create a healthier lifestyle for themselves. But imagine Dawn's just walking down the street and then someone shouts at her, "You're that Supersize lass, aren't you, from that show on telly?" You'd be devastated. We then get introduced to Dr. Christian, the man who hosts this show and is the main person who's going to be helping Dawn and Charlene. I love how they get a bloke to host this who has the physique of Superman, just to make the contestants feel extra worse about themselves. We then learn a little bit more about Dawn and her relationship with food.
This week's Supersize.
Sorry, you can't play that music. You're acting like Jaws is coming. Dun, 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 dun. Why is the music so dramatic? Are you actually trying to help these people or just make fun of them?
Quantity rather than quality. More is better.
Did you see the joy on her face when she was talking about the food that she eats? This woman looks like the happiest woman I've ever seen, man. She looks like she's just won a Mini Cooper on McDonald's Monopoly, for Christ's sake. Woman's buzzing.
Beef, bacon, sausage. There's very little green stuff.
I mean, the fact that she can put away that amount of food is kind of, an achievement in itself. I would never be able to do that, no matter how hard I tried. This is like a special talent. We then learn that a big reason why Dawn is coming on this show is she's recently been diagnosed with asthma, and that's because of her weight and her eating habits and how it's all contributing to how her lungs are functioning. She also says how she's starting to get rashes in certain areas, such as underneath her boobs or certain parts of her belly, and they're really starting to irritate her. And that'll just be the constant friction from a skin to skin touching, and obviously is going to make her really uncomfortable. And straight away I can see that Dawn really is motivated to come on this TV show. She's not doing it just to kind of be famous. And anyway, I think that's one really great thing about these TV shows from back in the day. People didn't go on them to be famous. People actually went on them because they believed in the concept. Whether or not we think this concept is a good concept for a TV show, we're going to discuss later in this video with the stuff you're going to see, because it might change your mind. But at this point, I'm rooting for Dawn.
It's under me belly and under me boobs.
The way way they edit these people is ridiculous. My lord. It's like she's Doctor Doom. The way they're like circling her, especially from like a low angle to make her look even bigger. That's a technique they make in movies to make people look like more outstanding, more intimidating. Very cheeky. Supersize, very skinny. Shame on you. We then learn a little bit more about Charlene, who is a 22-year-old student.
When I have a curry and rice, I tend to pick out the pieces of meat.
To be fair, sometimes I kind of do that, I'm not gonna lie. Like, if I'm having a curry with like a couple of people, I'm the first one in. I'm like, don't worry, right? I queued up first. I'm getting the best chicken bits, best pepper bits. You can have the rest of the sauce and the oil. Give me the good shit. Okay? It's a little bit of a selfish tendency I have, guys. Kind of trying to work on it, but not really getting through it at the minute. The way that the narrator talks about Charlene's eating habits compared to Dawn's eating habits is very interesting, because I feel like she's more passive-aggressive to Charlene. It's almost like the show has less sympathy for Charlene than they do Dawn.
Charlene only eats teeny tiny portions because she says she's too busy.
Like, even that tone of voice, she never used that tone of voice when explaining how Dawn eats, and I definitely think it's a sign of the times as to people who struggle to eat wasn't taken as seriously as people that eat too much. Obviously, both of the ends of the spectrum are dangerous, but that's a constant theme in this video. It's like Charlene's problems are kind of taken with a pinch of salt compared to Dawn's, because in people's minds it's easier to see how Dawn's problem can be fixed in a way. Charlene's mum says that she's really worried about her because all she does is study and then sleeps throughout the day. She says that she hasn't got enough energy to do anything but study, and that's obviously because she's probably not taking in enough calories to fuel her in the day. Obviously, I don't want to diagnose anybody, but I definitely think that, you know, these are clear signs of possibly an ED. I don't think this is just down to Charlene being a picky eater. Like, I always remember when I was younger, my mum took me to the doctors a couple of times because she thought that I was struggling with something like this, because I was like insanely skinny as a child. And I had a really weird relationship with food until I kind of became an adult. Like, when I was in primary school, when my mum would serve us my tea, I would often, like, as a small child, would hide it behind me bed and like disgusting things, but just to kind of say to my mum that I've ate the food when in reality I hadn't. Like, it's such a weird thing, but this is why I can kind of see Charlene's perspective on this. I'm not saying that she's stacking smiley potato faces behind her bed, but I'm just trying to give some perspective on this. Like, Charlene constantly gives excuses why she can't eat. She says that she can't eat breakfast because she needs to leave, otherwise she's late. She can't eat dinner because she said she's got to study. She's constantly like making up excuses, and I definitely think this is like a kind of way to avoid eating rather than actual reasons why she can't eat. So it's definitely going to be interesting when she's faced with the mammoth portions that Dawn eats on a weekly basis. Both of the contestants then meet with Dr. Christian, and he kind of gives them an overview of their health and how this is going to affect them in the near future. Dr. Christian says that Dawn won't be alive within 5 to 10 years if she keeps eating the way she's eating, and obviously that's like a huge statement to say to someone, and it definitely takes Dawn back, and you can see that, oh my god, like, I actually need to fix up here. And you're going to see later in this video how Dr. Christian does the weirdest method ever to really drill into Dawn that in 5 years time she might not be here.
When Christian said to me, come 55, I'll have a heart attack, that's as bad as it gets.
I mean, yeah, it's not the best news to receive, love. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it for you. Someone said that to me, I'd probably be like, oh, well, that put us off me tea. I'll just get a salad. Shut up. I'll just go in the garden, start eating the grass, right? I'll turn into a cow. And it is interesting how Dr. Christian kind of determines these factors that Dawn won't be alive in 5 years. He measures their health based off the BMI scale. Now, I studied physiotherapy for years before I started doing YouTube as my career. And one thing like all physiotherapists learn, or people within the health industry, is that BMI actually isn't the most accurate method to determine how healthy somebody is. It doesn't take into account a lot of other factors, such as muscle mass or water mass. There's a lot more accurate processes you can use, such as BIA, which is like an electrical current that goes through you that you can't feel, obviously, but that determines stuff as muscle mass, fat-free mass. So it is interesting on a show that is meant to be really knowledgeable about making people healthy using something that isn't actually that reliable. But not only that, but telling people that they're not actually going to be alive in 5 years because of this BMI test they've done. It's a little bit brutal, okay? On camera, the only things they do is weigh and take some measurements, and that's how they've determined a life lifespan. In Charlene's interview with Dr. Christian, Dr. Christian says his goal is to make her eat more during this experiment, and by the end of this experiment, he wants her to put on some weight. However, the methods that is going to be used in this show, I don't know if this is going to be successful or not. Charlene and Dawn then meet for the first time, and the way the show edits it is so overly dramatic.
They've both got destructive diets. But what will they make of each other?
Sorry. Are they gonna fight or something? Is this gonna be like a bar brawl? Feels like B Rabbit standing on the front stage ready to absolutely destroy the man in a rap battle.
I'm done. Where do your organs fit?
I mean, yeah, like, that doesn't make you any better, love, just because, you know, there's room for your organs. You're both here for a reason. You're both an unhealthy weight. You're not healthier than her. It is weird how they're not being supportive of each other straight away, like they're both in this predicament together. Surely being helpful is the best method here, not just taking the piss out of each other.
When I looked at her, all I could think about was the fat. Because like her tummy was like really big.
Yeah, the first time I met her, the only thing I could think of was how fat she was. Can still see it now. It's the only thing that's in my mind, man. It's like a curse.
I think this diet swap's going to be harder than I originally thought.
Already you can tell that these two maybe aren't going to get on. Like, these two are at their happiest they're ever going to be in this experiment right now until the very end. So this relationship is only going downhill. At this point of the show, both Dawn and Charlene have to swap diets for the next 5 days. So all of the normal portions they would have in a week, the other person actually has to eat. And when I first heard that they were going to be doing this made me think, like, is this really a healthy way to kind of help these two become more healthy? What does this really achieve? Like, I guess it gives you a better perspective of what the other person's going through, but that's not the reason you're in this experiment. Dawn also says that this is going to be a lot harder for her than it is Charlene, and I get that this is going to be really hard for her because she's going to be cutting her calories like by an insane amount and is obviously going to be hungry, but it's definitely another sign that people who are underweight's issues aren't taken as seriously as people who are overweight's issues at this time, in my opinion. Not that it's a competition, but I definitely just think there wasn't enough awareness about ED back when this show filmed. You're gonna see later in this video when these two constantly eat each other's meals in front of one another and how vicious that Dawn is to Charlene and vice versa. Moving on, the first challenge that these two had to do was keep a diary of their usual food intake for the week. They then hand this over to Dr. Christian and he puts their entire intake for the week into 2 tubes right in front of them.
That looks like a burger and chips milkshake. And you asked me where is the cholesterol coming from in your diet?
Why do they do this? Like, you know, if they took my diet or they took your diet, they took anyone's diet, no one's diet is going to look good in one of these tubes. Like, no matter how healthy it is, it's going to just look like mush. No one's going to look at their food in this tube and go, oh God, I could just murder all that right now. Someone stick that in the microwave, then put it on a plate. Or vice versa. That would probably be better. It's also hilarious that someone has had to like make these sandwiches or cook this food and then just put it straight into a tube. Just totally wasted it. Especially when Charlene struggles with food anyway. Looking at it like this is going to make her want to eat even less.
How are you feeling at this point? Looking forward to a big slap-up meal?
Sometimes.
Dawn's like, oh my God, how am I going to survive this week? You'd be like, oh my Lord, are you taking the piss, love? I can feel a breeze from somewhere, by the way, but no windows open. Am I dying? Maybe I'm the one with 5 years to live.
Okay, so Dawn, what on earth is that?
Tiramisu.
Oh, sorry, I thought that was what it looks like when it comes out the rear end. Apologies, guys. My mind just went awful there. What? Ugh. What? I was like, wait, why if they showed Charlene's before it goes in and then Dawn's after? That makes no sense.
Tiramisu.
Why?
Because it's there in the fridge.
Fair point, to be fair. Why not? Tiramisu for breakfast, count me in. It's in the fridge, I can eat it, can't I? The best thing about living alone, you don't have to follow anyone else's rules.
Half a chicken?
Half to a full chicken.
Do you know, like, I haven't had my tea yet. I was pretty hungry before recording this video. Now I just don't want to eat. This just makes me go, actually, yeah, nah, I'm all right. I'll just skip this one. Now, if I'm thinking that, could you imagine, like, what younger people are thinking when they're watching this, especially if they're struggling with, like, certain eating habits, etc.? This would make them feel even worse, in my opinion.
Do you ever have a vegetable?
No.
No.
You idiot Christian, call yourself a doctor, do you?
They take up room on the plate.
It's not funny.
Oh my, have a little laugh, will you? Actually, Dawn, I don't actually find that funny. Vegetable jokes just aren't my thing. I just don't know what the point of putting the food in the tubes is for, because it doesn't really, you know, give any perspective at all. I feel like they just do this to kind of embarrass them in front of the nation. If anyone in the comments does have a better perspective on why they did do this tube challenge thing, let me know. I just can't get my head around why they actually made this part of the show. I think it's just for clips, just so people have like a talking point about the show, something outrageous to kind of spark some debate. I do believe it was to embarrass them, because they even start like listing off meaningless statistics to make the people seem really bad.
Over a year, meat maniac Dawn is wolfing down 208 whole chickens, 36 kilos of minced beef.
What are these stats? Straight away starting it with Meat Maniac Dawn. There's a meat maniac on the loose. Was anyone gonna tell us? When was this? In 2003? I was just walking the streets at that time and there was a meat maniac on the loose. Nobody bloody told us, man. They should have put it on the news or something. I feel like if they put how many slices of meat I ate in like a yearly statistic, I would even be shocked. Like 36,000 slices of meat. They could even just do it over a 10-year period. Like, we're meant to just believe that this is like true. This might not be accurate at all.
You are stimulating your pleasure centres in your brain. Those are the same centres that get stimulated by heroin.
Oh, I'll just swap that for this then. I tell you what, I'll take out all the food and I'll just jump straight to the heroin. Cheers, Christian. That'll help with the weight loss. Let me know in the comments, by the way, how much money would you need to be paid to eat that entire tube of food and drink? Genuinely. If there's someone with a reasonable offer, I'll pay you it, okay? Don't know how I'm going to get the exact amount of food. It looks like one of those challenges they have at like an amusement park where you've got to guess how many things is inside it and you win a prize. What is that? Like, how much food have they just wasted there doing this stupid sort of challenge thing? They then make both the contestants like caress this tube for some B-roll footage and it's hilarious.
Of eating for 4.
Bro, Dawn was like proper giving it a little like, you know, caressing her up there. I thought she was going to stop fucking, go on, you sausage. She was loving it.
If someone can eat 3 times the amount that I can eat.
Again, just the way that Charlene was staring at that food, I feel like this entire segment of this show is only going to have a negative impact on her. I feel like she started off on the losing frontier. They then cook up a usual portion they would eat on a night time for each other. And like I said previously, they then both sit down at the table facing each other and eat it in front of one another.
Superskinny Charlene's dish du jour is a 20-ounce steak with...
I mean, that it's a little bit overwhelming for Charlene. Like, look at her face here. She's not impressed. She's like, yeah, this is a very dark day in the history of Charlene.
Large people tend to eat quickly.
They do.
Do you think it's because you can get more in?
Yeah, you know, large people, they eat really quickly, don't they? Yeah, I don't like it. Actually, can you just slow down, love? Put the brakes on. Engage the calipers, thank you very much.
Are you done, Charlene?
I can feel my tummy.
Really?
You can tell that Dawn doesn't really have any sympathy towards Charlene, because obviously she has the opposite problem with her weight. And I don't want to speak for Charlene because I don't know like her own experience, but I had the same thing when I was younger, where certain textures, certain things, just you almost, it's almost like you, even if you're hungry, you can't touch them. It's such a weird thing to explain now that I'm outside of it. And I feel like that's why a lot of people don't have sympathy for people that are underweight, because they can't almost put themselves in that person's shoes. A lot of people just have the opinion like, just eat it. Like, you're hungry, just eat it. But that's just not the case, unfortunately.
I think reality's just kicked in. I think I'm going to be very hungry.
Like, is this healthy? Surely this is not healthy for either of them. To do this for 5 days, okay, maybe it's a full 24 hours, maybe it's 48 hours, but 5 days? Dawn's going to be in agony. They're both going to be in agony. I do think that Dawn's mood is possibly going to be more affected than what Charlene's is, because, like, I think everyone can speak from experience. When you're hungry, you can turn into, you know, a little bit of a different person. Maybe that's just me. When I'm hungry, I'm very like hangry. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I just need some food in us, then I'll be fine. Just don't speak to us until I've had a coffee and me toast, okay? I don't want to hear anything until I've had me fucking coffee and me toast. Sorry guys, just I'm a little bit hungry now, as you can probably tell. And I think the show knows this, because they know that when people are hungry, like, the worst version of people take over the wheel, and they're just hoping that this is going to happen to Dawn to create some better content. And straight away, Dawn is really struggling as she wakes up in the clinic for the first time after going 24 hours with the new diet. She's also 24 hours cold turkey from having any caffeine as well, which if you're a consistent caffeine intaker, that's going to be even more tough because you're going to feel even more tired. And she says that she's never felt this ill before in her life. By the way, guys, I just want to quickly stop this video to say that 58% of you watching this are not subscribed now. Just have a think about that. Just have a think about what you're doing to me right now and what you're doing to this donuts community. If you want to be in the best community on the internet, the donuts, press subscribe now. We're on the hunt for 1 million subscribers. If everyone watching this press subscribe that hasn't subscribed, we're going to be so much closer. So join us, be in the Before Millie Club. Do it! Anyway, let's get back to the video.
And there's not much on the breakfast menu to cheer her up.
Is that it?
Oh my god, that is the cartoon. She's literally said, I've never been ill in my life. And what do they give her for breakfast? A pint of water. What? Are you trying to kill this woman? Her life expectancy's gone from 5 years down to 2 days after appearing on this show. Also, having a pint of Coke for breakfast, that is, no matter, how healthy you are, that is tough. It's like those people that wake up and before they go to work or school or college, they just have like a can of Monster and a vape, and that's all they need to kind of, kickstart the day. Those people I'm just so impressed by. Those are the people that I'm like, how are you built like that? You were like favoured by the Lord. Incredible. All I need is a blue Brie Lost Mary and a white Monster, and the world's me oyster.
What's up with the 6 sausages?
Well, because there's 6 in a pack.
But why?
I can.
First love. See, I kind of get that because, I've said this, I don't know if it was on this channel or my Reacts channel, but whenever I go into Greg's, okay, like 2 sausage rolls isn't enough, but, 3 sausage rolls is kind of too many. However, if you order 3 sausage rolls, you get a 4th one for free. So then I've got 4 sausage rolls, which is too many. However, I've got 2 sausage rolls to eat now, and then I've got 2 sausage rolls to eat later. So, do you see what I'm playing at here? I'm saying that, Dawn, I respect the craft. However, you probably do need to kind of, watch yourself a little bit. But the hustle, I can see the vision, okay? The longer this section is going on, the more infuriated Dawn is getting at Charlene.
Would you eat the skin of the sausages? If I see it, I tend to remove it.
Open your mouth and put it in.
It's very clear that Dawn just really does have zero respect for Charlene's issues here. Just open your mouth and put it in, man. That's all you do. You pick it up, it goes in, and it comes out. That's just life, love.
I admit that is excessive, but I also do not think that this is enough.
I mean, she definitely does have a point there. Like, just having a glass of water is definitely not enough to kind of fuel you for the day. But both of these people definitely are at fault here. Like, it's not just Charlene and it's not just Dawn. However, this must be insanely hard for Dawn to be so hungry and just see, like, I don't even think it's a full English, it's a full English just right there, sitting, waiting. I don't care. Once the camera stopped rolling, I'm going and eating that. Like, what are they going to do? They're not going to stop me, right? Not when it's in. What are they going to do? Pick it out me mouth? Pick it out me gullet? I don't think so. I'd like to see them try. It's going down too fast, love. I've already washed it down with the pint of Coke. But again, the entire narrative of the show is definitely kind of geared to making you feel a bit more sorry for Dawn than for Charlene, just by various kind of ways they produce the takes. They do whole sections on how it's really hard for Dawn, but they don't do the same sections for Charlene.
I didn't think I would go through the hunger and the emotions that come with that.
And again, I have no doubt that this is insanely hard for Dawn. I actually feel really sorry for her that's just been made to go through this, even though she did sign up herself and she is an adult and she knew exactly what she'd be participating in. But they don't say how hard it is for Charlene. Like, why? And at this point when watching the show, I did go to the comments just to see like what the overall vibe is. Are people mentioning the same things I am? And nobody is saying this, so I don't know if I'm in the wrong here, but people just have no sympathy for Charlene. People are even saying that Dawn is doing really well for Charlene the way she's speaking to her. So maybe it's like, I guess it's just down to opinion here. Maybe this is Dawn's motivation tactic to make Charlene eat. I just think they're both failed by the concept of the show, because the concept of the show is meant to, create vicious drama.
Meanwhile, back in the diet swap, lard-loving Dawn and calorie-counting Charlene.
Lord-loving Dawn. What happened to just Dawn? Lord love and Dawn. What would this narrator say if I went on this show? Yeah, spotty prick cams just in the garden, popping under that spot. Dermatitis, fever and calm spends another day crying.
And for Charlene, there's a feast of Dawn's favourite fixes. But for Dawn, it's just a solitary cheese sandwich.
Again, like, I have no doubt Dawn is struggling here and I feel bad for her. But there's no sympathy for Charlene. It's just like, oh, look how bad this is for Dawn. Charlene's just taking the piss out of her here. And Dawn really is losing patience with Charlene.
What are you doing with that?
Looking at it.
Pick it up and eat it.
Like, Dawn is using the same tactics to kind of motivate Charlene to eat, and they're not working any time. I wonder if it would be a better thing if the show set up something to kind of understand why Charlene has this relationship with food, like diving deep into how this relationship kind of developed from early on, understanding why she kind of is scared to eat certain foods and how she can overcome that fear. Surely sorting out her mental is a lot better than just forcing her to eat foods that she doesn't want to eat. Although this might be good in the short term and she'll get some instant calories, she's not going to be able to take this into her everyday life when she leaves.
I'm starting to get tired of her moaning and just not giving this a go.
I feel like Dawn's actually going to chin Charlene soon. I think we need security on set at all times moving forward. Charlene is starting to fight back a little bit. As you can tell, she is also getting annoyed by Dawn's presence.
With another tiny dinner of chicken curry and rice for Dawn.
Disgusting.
I don't know how you eat this.
Oh! Okay. Little bit of fire from Charlene. Love to see it. So far it's been take. Have some of that, love. Your food shit.
What did you think was going to happen when we come here? It's a diet swap, and I'm playing my part.
Oh, look, from Dawn's perspective, I do understand, like, how she probably doesn't kind of get why Charlene isn't eating the food. And from her perspective, she might not think she's being nasty, like this is her way to motivate Charlene. But it is a little bit of a hard watch, and you can tell Charlene's probably came on this show because she gets the same treatment from like her mom or dad constantly telling her to eat, and she's come on this to just be like, look, I am trying to do something, but in reality she's not, because she needs to get over these mental barriers. Like, no matter how much food you put in front of this woman, she's not going to eat it. Nothing's changing. We've done this about 4 or 5 times now. She's never ate more than the last time. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. I also love that there's just like 2 pints of Coke as well and some sort of chocolate finger. Like, she's just not touching any of it, man. Not even a dent has been put in these Cokes. And I wonder if that's why the comments on this are really horrific towards Charlene. I know there's going to be people watching this who have zero sympathy for her, but I feel like because the entire show is geared around hating the Superskinny, people in the comments don't realise this, and subconsciously they're just kind of feeding into it. If it was a case of just keep putting food in front of Charlene and hopefully she eats it, she wouldn't be on this show. She wouldn't have the problems that she has. And it's interesting because Dr. Christian can't even really see this from Charlene's perspective either.
I appreciate that Dawn's portions are enormous. Charlene just isn't making enough effort.
How about you eat Dawn's food, Dr. Christian? Have you seen what's on that plate? I feel like even just the sheer amount of food on the plate would be overwhelming for someone that doesn't eat that much anyway. It's going to make it seem even harder, especially when if you are eating more than usual and you're not even putting a dent in the plate, it's just going to be so demotivating. As the doctor, I feel like, you know, it's your job to kind of understand the psychology of these people rather than just saying what you see. It just makes me think, how would young people who are also struggling with what Charlene's struggling with feel seeing her get treated like this on a TV show? Especially reading comments, etc. It would make you think that everybody thinks this way about you. At this point of the show, like, I can't imagine Charlene being better off from appearing on Supersize vs Superskinny. I actually think it's going to be quite detrimental to her. Unless they can turn it round before the end of this episode, we'll have to just wait and see. They do get Charlene's mum to write a letter for her to give her some extra motivation, and it does seem to touch her. However, I don't feel like this is actually going to help her to eat food. The next day begins and they do another swap and food portion exercise, and the look on Charlene's face when Dawn is cooking up her meal is just hilarious.
What is that?
Deep fried duck eggs. Look at that. That is just superb.
She's like, sorry? Sorry, what did you say there? Deep fried... Oh, right. Cheers, love. Any water? No? Not fancy just a glass of water today on a wedding stage? You're not usually have that, you don't eat. All right. No worries, love.
I find your breakfast always so salty. Do you add the salt in your bacon or not? Is it salted bacon then?
Do you think the bacon's salty? I feel like Charlene should mention it once more. Maybe it's just to confirm it. Is it salty? Do you put extra... Is it... Has it just come out the sea, love? Has it? Oh, just checking, love. right?
That's just to get it down the neck.
Really, really full now.
Dawn's face. Dawn's gonna eat Charlene in a minute if she doesn't stop eating. This woman must be so hungry, bless her. To have such a change in diet's gonna spike so many things in your body and you're just gonna feel awful. And you can tell that Dawn's motivation is draining with each passing day as she's getting less caffeine, less food, and she's just hungry all of the time. Dr. Christian actually sees this, and I can't believe I'm saying this. When the supersize person is lacking in motivation, they usually just ship them off to the fattest town in America and make them spend time with a person that is even fatter than them to teach them a lesson in some weird way. But instead, at this point, Dr. Christian just shows a video of someone struggling with their weight in America.
You just don't realize that it's going on until it's too late.
God. Hey. Well, this is a light watch, but I invite the family over. It's definitely another shock tactic they use, and I feel like that's the only tactics they use in this experiment, is just shock value.
About a year or 2 years ago, these little blisters would come up.
Dawn's face, bless her. The sheer look of horror in her eyes.
It seems as if it just continues and it continues. I don't think I can make it.
Well, thanks, love. Always a pleasure. I mean, this would make me never want to eat a sausage ever again. The way that they've showed her this video just out of the blue is gonna, send a definitely some shock down her spine. Also, that little dramatic look from Dr. Christian to Dawn just to see how she's reacting was hilarious.
And they're very difficult.
What was that then? And then Dawn had to make some sort of expression just to show she's listening. She was like... And Dawn says that this video alone has really, re-invoked her motivation for the process and to become more healthy in general. And at this point, I don't know if it's that Dr. Christian doesn't believe her or they've already, kind of signed this in the contract, but they actually make Dawn go to America to spend time with this woman.
How do you feel about that?
Well, quite upset that I'm going to meet her.
Could you imagine being that poor American lady watching this and the Dawn goes, yeah, I'm actually quite upset that I'm going to meet this woman. You'd be like, oh, cheers, love. Thank you very much. Thanks. Right, I'll have your tea on the table, don't worry. Eat your sausages, love. Definitely not laced with anything. They're just Cumberland, love. That's the spice. I would just be like, well, no, it's all right. I get what you're saying. Okay, I'm going to stop. All right, I'll stop. Just don't send us to America, please. I get what she's saying. Do I really need to fly out? And also just hear the same thing again. I feel a little bit sorry for Dawn here, but I mean she gets a free holiday to America no matter how morbid it's going to be.
And I do not want to be, in 10 years' time, making that movie for somebody else.
That's just what Supersize vs Superskinny is. They're just drafting people to make these movies for other people that they're later going to feature in. It's just a vicious cycle that never ends. I bet that American woman, bless her soul, feels $1 million watching this episode back. The show then cuts straight to Dawn in America with this woman.
I was able to run, but now if a fire started, I'm going to be a roasted pig on a stick.
If there was a fire in her house, would she genuinely just be like this? Well... I guess that's me fucked then.
She stops breathing up to 400 times a night and has to wear an oxygen mask.
Well, this is the best holiday ever. Sign me up for this. When people from the UK go to America, they might go to New York, see the Empire State Building, go to Florida, go to Disneyland. Not Dawn. No, not Dawn. She just puts an oxygen mask on and just sits with her thoughts, bless her. On a more serious note, I know I am taking the piss, but maybe this will give Dawn more shock value. That'll make her think, I don't want to get to this point and, actually make better choices in the future, I guess. I'm unsure if this will help her or if this is just going to be an experience she forgets about a few months later. But it is very shocking to see, and obviously she doesn't want to be where this woman is. I still think she could have possibly have got all this information from the video though. I don't feel like they needed to ship her to the fattest town in America. Dawn says that the entire trip has had such a positive impact on her, seeing where she doesn't want to be in the future and has really kind of, shown her where she needs to go now. The show then cuts back to Dawn and Charlene doing another eating exercise as they always do. How many times are they going to sit and eat in front of each other?
This is killing me to sit here while you arse about with food while I'm starving hungry.
You can tell that Dawn is really struggling now. She's really struggling with the lack of food. This is really getting to her, and now she's just being outright mean. She doesn't even care anymore. The devil is at the wheel now. But again, every single time she reiterates to Charlene, just eat it, do you think Charlene's went, actually, I've never thought of it like that. Maybe I should just put it in my mouth. Is that what you have to do when you eat, is it? The way they speak about each other when they're alone is also so hilarious.
I think because she's hungry and she's getting really like crazy psycho.
It's like talking to a toddler.
These two look like the best of friends, bless them. Right, definitely going to go to each other's for tea. Or for a glass of water if you go to Charlene's, obviously. Dr. Christian at this point steps in. He doesn't usually do this in other Supersize vs Superskinny episodes. He normally lets the whole thing play out. But he's really trying to help Charlene. And he kind of gives her an ultimatum that she really has to start putting more effort in. And then he actually conducts the first helpful kind of challenge in this process yet. He lays out old photographs of both Charlene and Dawn. And he gets them to kind of establish where they think their relationship with food started, like their unhealthy one. And this is what I've been crying out for. Just something more psychological, where Charlene can kind of work through her thoughts rather than just getting told to eat all the time. And also Dawn can kind of get a little bit more knowledge on why she possibly eats a lot more than she probably should. This can only be good. This is the first helpful thing they've done yet. Dawn opens up about something she's never opened up about before. Apparently she says that when she was younger, often she wouldn't be able to eat because her parents didn't have much money and they were also alcoholic, so she would often go hungry a lot of nights. And when she got her first job and she had all this money, it was almost like a new world opened and she was able to afford any food that she wanted, and that just kind of spiraled out of control. I would have liked to have seen this at the start of the episode so we could really kind of grow with the people during this episode and root for them a lot more, because the first half an hour of this is just pitting the two contestants against each other and we learn nothing really about them, apart from the fact that one eats too much and one never eats. Because this also gives us a better understanding of why Dawn might have been more angry at Charlene for not eating the food. Obviously she would have been hungry, but it might have been because she's had times where she actually, you know, didn't have the facilities to be able to eat, so when somebody isn't eating, that kind of, you know, strikes something in her mind to make her angry. And then Charlene starts to open up, and then we as the audience get to see why she's possibly got to this point in her life.
If my mum thought I was eating a lot, she'd be like, oh no, don't eat too much of this. It's going to make you sick.
Well, if only you did this challenge at the start, then you would have had something to work with, but you didn't. You just wanted to take the piss out of her. What she's just said there is a very clear sign of why she might have this relationship with food. Like, as a child, you soak up a lot of information, especially from your parents, that they kind of put on you, and that's like the personality that you form when you're young. If you're constantly hearing your mom saying, oh yeah, don't eat that because you're going to be sick, you're going to believe that, and that's going to make you not want to eat because you don't want to be sick, because being sick has been made out to be this horrific thing that you don't want to happen. And you can see how Dawn instantly after hearing this has a lot more sympathy towards Charlene because of this. She now understands her, and I honestly think they haven't done this at the start of the episode because they kind of don't want the Supersize and the Superskinny to understand each other at the start. They want to pit them against each other to, you know, create more drama, I guess. After this, they then swap meals for the very last time, and you can see that this has had such a positive impact on Charlene doing this old photos challenge, because this is the first time that she actually puts a dent in one of Dawn's meals. I was literally screaming out for this during the entire thing. The first time that they do something psychological, it works. What are the chances? After this, both Dawn and Charlene leave the feeding clinic and they return 3 months later, and Dr. Christian tells them if they've managed to become healthier or not, judged on if Charlene has been able to put on weight, and if Dawn has been able to lose weight. That's their measurement of success on this show.
Dramatic changes?
Figures changed a huge amount.
And Charlene's looking so well.
You can tell that Dawn, you know, has definitely improved her diet in these 3 months. We don't get to see the actual diet plan that they're given. I did a little bit of research and people said that they weren't the best diet plans in the world. That's why they don't show them on the show. Dr. Christian then says he isn't happy with Charlene as she's only managed to put on 1 pound from the start of the process to 3 months on. And I definitely think that is because they didn't really work enough on the psychological aspect of what she was going through. They kind of just shamed her for what she was going through. However, Dawn has managed to drop 24 pounds, and you know, overall she has definitely improved her life and her health, and it's great to see because she seems a lot happier and she seems a lot more bubbly than she was on the show. Obviously on the show she was just really hungry the entire time, so that's not going to be the best version of herself. The episode then ends after this. We don't get any other update on these two. I have tried to find something out about Charlene or Dawn, but there's nothing publicly about them, and I don't want to dive too deep if they're trying to live their lives privately after this show. But overall, I'm really interested to hear what you think think of this show in general, what you thought about Dawn and Charlene. Do you think this show is actually a positive thing to put out there? Like, could this air today? In my opinion, I don't feel like this show has any constructive message to put out, and I don't think it's a good thing for either people who are, you know, severely overweight or severely underweight to really watch. I don't feel like it's gonna have a positive impact on anyone who watches this show. I know it didn't have a positive impact on me when I watched this with me mum when I was younger. I think they just get these people on to shame them and just put it on as a form of entertainment at the time. But it will be really interesting to hear what you think, and if you want to watch another video from me on another wild British TV show that I can't believe they aired, click this video right here or watch another video from me right here. And thank you very much, Donuts, for dedicating the time to support what I do. I love yous. Alright, not in that way, but just in a, you know. Anyway, bye bye.